Hello everybody and welcome to our Darkflame Clef 13 clearing and timing. I'm here to talk to you all about it and tell you what we ended up doing to get this clear. With the past changes that has happened in World of Warcraft, we really feel that most people can get 3K, and we're here to kind of go through it and show you and hopefully be able to help you complete it and time it. So please come check us out and enjoy. Behold the Darkflame Clef 13. So what we do here with our first pull is we're going to pull everything in this group. We're going to stay here. Our tank is going to go and pull the first 2 packs. He is going to then come back, go around the corner, and we're going to end up DPSing this group together like this. And we're going to pull everything in this room in addition to those first 2 packs. Now, this is a very, very clean pack to deal with if you have someone that's capable of doing it. As you can see here, we are doing a lot of DPS to the group. Most of us are doing 6 mil, and even Risen, our tank, he was doing 5 mil, and now he's dropping down. But you can see that even all of our numbers are dropping down because it's now more single target. But we end up just decimating this pack, which is really, really good. So we end up pulling this, and then we're going to continue forward, and we're going to go to the next groups. Now, Risen does this a little differently than most. He ends up pulling 2 groups and pulling them back on the left side behind the pillar. We use the pillars here to LOS the groups. You have to be careful of the overlords because those are the ones that are going to smack the group out. So what we end up doing is we try to end up making sure we're going to binding shot, or we end up using it to make sure that nobody's going anywhere so that everybody is close. Now, I ended up changing my spec here a little different than normal because my single target was a little bit low. So I did end up taking Black Arrow, which in my personal opinion was a mistake. But overall, it did a lot of decent damage to the groups. My AoE still wasn't too bad, and my single target was okay. It wasn't great, but it was still, we were able to still do some damage. So we end up continuing to do this here. Risen ends up pulling only the left packs, except for this last group where we pull 2, and we go around the corner on the left. We end up using that to line of sight everything closer to us. Now, just a quick saying, I have Sky in the group, myself, Oxy, and Risen, who I know. This healer was actually a pug healer that we never even met. We did try to do this on on a 13 before, but it just didn't work, and thankfully we had resilience on it. So we ended up running out, lowering it, and continuing forward. But here we go. We're going to continue here doing our AoEs, and we're going to take down these mobs, and we're going to start going into our first boss. Might I remind you, I forgot to say, we lusted that first pull. So now we don't have lust, but we're going to end up DPSing the group here, being mindful of where the cart is. As you can see here, everything's kind of on me, so I ended up binding shotting them so to keep them all together. We made sure that we were on top of the, on the minecarts that pop out from the sides, because we knew that those were going to cause lots of problems. Our healer goes into the wall that's close by. He ends up dying, and I almost died, but thankfully I lived. We were able to res them up. And we had another minecart come out, and we're continuing to DPS. And you can see here that, like, for some reason, my single target is not really that good whatsoever. And that's why I kind of felt that it was a little bit of a regret to be able to drop him down. So now Waxbeard ended up going into a wall really, really far away. But we're going to continue to DPS as much as we can, as you can see, through this whole scenario. This guy's got a lot of mobs on him. We're trying to use, a lot of the group here as you can. I end up disengaging just in time. Healer dies again. So we end up, continuing to DPS down Waxbeard. And Risen is pretty decent at holding enough aggro. We end up having enough. We have a minecart here. I try to keep a little bit of range, kind of dance things around. Try to use whatever defensives I have to keep this guy dead. Darkness was placed, and we ended up getting this taken care of. It was a very lucky recovery with the fact that the healer was dead. So we're going to continue forward right now into the next room. Risen pulls this a little differently than I do personally. So he ends up jumping down from the group here. He ends up pulling all of the pack on the left, the group in the middle, and he also pulls the dude in front of the door. But he ends up waiting until we have most of the group done with the pulse before he ends up pulling another one. That way the timer is on a different timer. Oxy just died. So the healer just died twice and Oxy died, which means we were down 45 seconds already in this 13. And I was getting nervous because this, if we timed this key right here, this would give me my 3K IO, which was, my overall goal for the season. And anything that I end up doing over that is going to end up, being extra. We end up pulling that candle group in the corner with that other group in the middle, and the pulses do a decent amount of damage, but you got to be careful with it. So we end up DPSing these groups down. When the quelches go off, we end up making sure that we end up using defensives to kind of soften the blow a little bit. And we're going to continue to move here. Now we have about 75 seconds left on lost cooldown before we can end up using that. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed. All right, that guy's dead there, and we're going to go in. As you can see, I actually have decent pulls when there's large groups like that, but I don't know how I feel. Now, anyway, so here is the flames. Now, the flames do start turning into problems. So what you want to make sure you do is you want to make sure you're interrupting as much as you can and also LOSing. You can LOS the bursts that are happening behind the candles. People don't realize that they're LOS points. So we end up using that to kind of dampen some of the blow that's being thrown out to the rest of the group, because you can't get all of these interrupts, and people try to. So as you can see, we're trying to go around and watch out for those LOSs. Sky dies on this pull and the healer again. So we end up getting that. And now we're rezzing Sky, and we told the healer to stop releasing because we're just losing so much time because he's not here right now. So we end up losing probably like 10-15 seconds because we're waiting for him to run back. So just taking a second to say thank you all very much for hanging out and checking out our video. Please make sure you sub or you join or follow, depending upon what you end up doing. Now, the dousing breaths you need to use defensives for Blazigan. If you're wondering, please check out the video that we ended up posting of how to deal with this boss, because it is a very mechanic heavy boss. Now you got the gusts, so you got to make sure you're in place of the gusts and you don't get hit by them. So they take the flame out from the candle, and then it'll give you an opening to stand. Now after this opening is done, the Enkindling Inferno comes up, which is in places that were taken out. And now we're going to get ready for the dousing, which we use a defensive for. And then after that, we're going to end up getting ready for the Wicker Barrage, which is then going to end up lighting the candles. So I do a little square dance, get myself back into position, and I am good to go. So the Infernos go. And now it's pretty much rinse and repeat. You got to be careful of the tornadoes there because they do a lot of damage. So really, really be careful for that portion. You can see that the same deal happens here. We're continuing our aim shots, watching out for the Infernos. Continuing to keep an eye out. Here's another Wicker Barrage. Gonna do a little sidestep action once again. It's only at 6% now, 5%. It's gonna go pretty quick. And we make sure we get this guy down before the next burst of damage coming out. And now this group is a very interesting interrupt group, in my opinion. Everybody tries to interrupt whatever they can do, try to bounce them together. I tried to mostly just get everybody together more so than do damage, because I knew between Sky being a survival hunter and between Oxy being a DH, their AoE is just going to be able to burn this guy. This portion of the fight really, really annoys me. So we're going to keep an eye on what's happening here. You used to be able to feign death the boss, or I should say, the grab. That's not the case anymore. So you got to be careful of that. We're going to try to make sure that we're focus firing down that one specific the little guy, snout snort or whatever his name is, making sure that we end up DPSing that guy down. And then the big cobalt, was it a torch snarl or something? He's just going to do damage. He's just going to keep smacking us around. This fight is very much a fight against time, because the longer that guy stays out, the more those flame things stay out, which means more AoE pulse damage is going to be put out and more damage he's going to end up putting out. So you got to be really careful. So we're going to continue to do that, making sure we're using defensives when we have to. And we're going to end up continuing to push and fight here. And the one hand headlock is going to be coming out in 10 seconds. And I don't remember if we have to deal with that or not, because we're fighting the percentage right now, which is good. And now when it comes to the Candle King, you want people to stack together. I can't emphasize that enough. And I'm not talking close to each other. I mean, like on top of each other, same side. You want to make sure you're communicating your interrupts. You want to try to make sure that you use the pickaxe throw to kill things. You want to use people to their best to take out the molds. The molds are going to cause huge amounts of AoE problems, and if your healer can't handle it, you're done for. When it comes to the dealing with everything else, it's more like just moving around and keeping an eye. More molds come out. We're going to get a pickaxe. The Paranoid Mind, which is the interrupt, is going to be coming up next. Me and Sky tried to make sure we were alternating during that time. Trying to get as many molds down as possible. Here's another Darkflame pickaxe. And we're just going to continue to do this. This boss is very heal intensive. The healer right now is doing about 2.6 to 2.7 mil continuous. I tried to take out a problem far away. And then I tried to make sure we get more molds down, because I could feel that the healer was struggling a little bit, but they got themselves together. And here's another pickaxe. Oxy was able to deal with that. Their Paranoid Mind. And see what I mean? It's just a repeat process over and over and over and over again until we get there. And now he's right now doing a constant 2.9 mil. And we finally get the king down. We don't have to worry about him anymore. Candle King is no more. Now we're going into the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet, let the tanks go first. They will pull what they need to pull, and the cart will follow. Some people know how to pull this portion so well that they can do it in 2 to 3 pulls. Let the tanks take the priorities of what's happening. If something happens where they're missing something, they will tell you. For instance, we just had a horror hit the cart, causing it to stop. So we made sure that we were pulling it again and keep DPSing it down, and we come back. The creepers are going to be very difficult to deal with if you have multiple bodies underneath them. So make sure you're consistently moving the creeper away from bodies if you're dealing with that, or make sure you pull it out of the way and DPS it while inside. As you can see there with that last horror, I actually bumped it out of the circle, which caused the cart to move. And that's something that it's a very advanced movement that you want to make sure I'm consistently MDing and putting as much damage onto these ads to put them onto the tank so that we don't have a problem with consistently stopping and stopping and stopping. Our timer right now is 22 minutes and 35 seconds. And that is very, very, very close. So, and we have a 31-minute timer. So we have about 8 minutes left. Now you got to be careful of that double creeper. And you can see the the candle was getting low, so I just grabbed another candle just so we can get through this. And now we're pretty clear for almost the whole way. I think there's like 2 to 3 mobs. As you can see, Risen will grab them and then put them to a point where we're good with them. And then he just keeps moving them off of the cart. And now we're going into that funny little mini phase of dealing, or I should say throwing, dynamite. So the dynamite we're going to pick up here, we're going to put it into the cart, and now we're going to just start throwing. So we're going to throw. And we're going to keep going here till we can get through this little portion. As you can see here, we're going to be going into this last boss with about 5 minutes. So, you know, my heart was definitely hitting a beat, and it's still right now looking at this, you know, going over this again. So we're going to end up pulling this whole left side, even though we already have our 100%, because these guys in general are actually pretty easy to kill. We AoE it down, rapid fire, aim shot, clear that out. We're going to kill these creepers here. The creepers, like I said, that's a huge mob group that we just took down. As you saw, he took about 5 steps back, said that they weren't there anymore. So we end up doing that, killing this one creeper, then the second creeper, and we're on to the boss. So we have 5 minutes, 30 seconds on the boss. I end up putting my hunter's mark on it because it's going to really be beneficial between now and 80%. Stuck a rain of fire all the way up on the roof of the place, making sure that you take that shadow thing out. But when you do it, make sure you grab a candle. The candle will make sure that you're okay for damage. Some people will grab the candle, walk through the boss. Some of them will rotate in a circular process. When Eternal Darkness goes off, you want to make sure you get it 2 pulses off on the boss and then put a candle in. If you don't, it's just going to be problems. And you want to make sure you fill that up all the way. And there we end up moving the candle. And we just continue to do our 1-point rotations. My DPS, like I said, felt pitiful during this whole entire time. So we're definitely trying our hardest. Keep moving around. And we're going to continue to do as much as we can. Here's another Eternal Darkness. Someone brought a candle in too early, but it was enough. We're going to end up moving the candle again here. And we're almost at the percentage we need. It's just one of those things that this boss isn't extremely difficult. It's another heavy mechanic based boss. If you don't have a candle and you have that shadow burst on you and you are in higher keys, you will get one shot. And if you're not moving together as a group, staying inside the light, you are not going to have the heals or the damage that you can do. So here, as you can see, we ended up losing a DPS and the healer. So we res them both. So that drops down our timer even more. So right now we got 1 minute and 55. And we're about to get it down. And I get my 3K. Happy day for me. Thanks. I hope you all enjoyed the Darkflame Clef 13 clearing. We ended up getting it done. I ended up getting my 3K with this key. I was very ecstatic to get it. I thank you all very much for checking out our video. I'm on Twitch and YouTube every single Monday through Friday. Please come check us out. Subscribe, follow, join, whichever you would like to do to support the channel would be fantastic. And we got lots of other videos here on YouTube, so come check us out. Thank you.